So boom, you can just boom. What is the Stash promo code and how can you receive $5 by starting your first investment and then introducing the concept of auto stashing? Oh, what's that all about? Okay, well, we're going to talk about that in today's video, so make sure you watch it all the way to the end so you get all of the important information. One of the biggest barriers that I see with prospects for my business and comments on my YouTube channel is that people can't afford a product or that it's too expensive, which is more of a mindset thing, but that's a whole nother video. This is why I'm doing a plethora of videos on the Stash app, and so you can get $5 for downloading the Stash app and starting your first investment using my promo code in the description area below. So now let's talk about AutoStash. AutoStash is a suite of money-saving tools that allows you to save and invest automatically, and the folks at Stash think this is one of their most important financial tools. I know it is for me. I do AutoStash, so let's get up into it. So I'm just going to open my Stash app. Alright, so it's reading my face. Alright, so you can see of the investments I have here. So you can see $6,343, return on investment of $334.78 or 5.54%. Not a whole lot, but not a whole little. There you go. Alright, so let's click on that. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to take me to this screen that covers how much cash I have in here, my cash balance that I get from dividends, or I can fund it with my debit card. And so the set the schedule is what I'll click on. And this just talks about how much I set per week to go into the Stash app and where it goes. And so I can select which stocks that I put. Mostly it's $5 per different stocks that I invest in. So I have over 40 different stocks and ETFs. And so those are all there. Some stocks I invest a little bit more than $5, but for the most part it's all $5. And I just look at their past performance to make sure they're getting double-digit returns. More often than not, if they offer a dividend, that's great too. That's awesome because then it pays for my Stash account and ability to use it and earn a return on my investment. So let me talk more about what the AutoStash is now that you've kind of seen my app. But basically AutoStash takes the weight off of your shoulders by putting your savings on autopilot. Think of when you get to the cruising altitude in an airplane and they say, now we've reached cruising altitude and we're going to chill, right? So that's basically what happened. That's what you can do with your finances once you select what stocks and ETFs or exchange traded funds you're in. Exchange traded funds are basically just made up of multiple individual stocks. And so once you figure all that out and what you do, I base it off of the companies I know, like, and trust. So you're watching this on YouTube. Google owns YouTube, so that's one of the companies that I first invested in. I buy stuff on Amazon, so that's one of the first companies. I use Facebook a lot, so that's one of the companies that, that's basically how I did it initially. And then I started investing, I look at my bank statements, who do I spend with and how do I spend money? Well, I have a Visa debit card, and then I just started, thinking about all that, and that's kind of how I got to stuff. And then I, again, looked at their performance and made sure it was good. Okay, so going back to AutoStash, it will invest your money and you won't have to lift a finger, and by automatically investing small amounts over a long period of time, investors are likely to save more and you're likely to get a better return on your investment because you have inflation that you're battling with, you have other things that could earn more, you have even stock market conditions where it goes up or down and there's emotions right? So that's where dollar cost averaging comes in, which I've talked about in other videos and I will talk about again in the future. But basically it's when you invest when things are good and when they're bad, because it creates an average stock price that over time is just going to provide a good return on investment over time. Long-term investment, right? That means long-term means more than a year or two, 3 or 4 or 5 years, stuff like that. It's like a game of delayed gratification, but we ain't gonna get into that. Special note, all investing involves risk. Gotta put that disclaimer out there because it's possible to lose money by investing in the market, and that's why you gotta do your research and see where your risk tolerance level is. So I also want to mention that Stash overhauled their AutoStash functionality and added new features including set schedule, roundups, and smart stash, which it talks about in the app. And I'm not going to cover all those in detail in this video, but here's what set schedule is all about, because that's a really cool feature, which is what you saw earlier. So set schedule allows you to automatically transfer money into your Stash accounts. You select the amount that you want to set aside and when and how often you want to set it aside, and whether you'd like to Stash to automatically invest in your ETFs or stocks. The ETFs again are exchange traded funds, which are made up of multiple stocks, or you can simply place your money in your cash account. So you have 3 different options of how to pull money from your debit account into that, so you can start to save more automatically. And so I've just opted for investing in all the stocks a little bit. So minimum is $5. And for a stock like, you know, Amazon or Google that's over $1,000 in stock price, the ability to only invest $5 for a fractional share is amazing. I don't have to wait till I have $1,000 to get one share of a company. I can just get $5 and earn a very small part of that share and that company. So it's pretty cool. And so this whole process is an easy way to save and invest regularly. Consistency is key. That's how wealth is built. On a schedule that works for you. Not me, but you. So I know what day it pulls. I can set and adjust it. So now that you know what setting a schedule looks like, now we're going to cover how it works in a nutshell. So a set schedule transfers money from your linked bank account into any of your stash accounts, including your cash balance, which I've talked about, retirement, custodial, or investment accounts. So I do have a Roth IRA with stash. I do have an investment account, and I don't put money in cash too often, but it initially goes there and then it is automatically invested in my investments in the app. So I guess I do kind of. Once you turn on set schedule, you can expect stash to automatically transfer money from your bank account and deposit it into the accounts you specify when you want to. And you can cancel this anytime, right? And so this is just based on what you want to invest in your future. So I know how much money I have left over after I pay all my bills and do all that stuff, and I'm like, hey, I don't want this money to go down because of inflation, because if I don't do anything, that money is either going to get spent on stuff that I don't need, which I don't do, but inflation is the other thing I'm worried about. You know, 2, 3, 4%, you know, I'm going to lose every whatever month, year, however it is, if I don't do anything with that money. So I need to make that money make money for me instead of me constantly using my hours to make money. I want money to make money. To start or pause set schedule, you can log in through your app, which I showed you mine, or via the web and find the settings in the auto stash menu on the account page. You can pause set schedule and restart it at any time. So it's like yoga, it's flexible based on what you want to do. The folks at Stash want to set you up for success, and the revamped auto stash and added features make saving and investing easier for their customers, not more difficult. Be sure to take advantage of all the great new features that auto stash has to offer so you can make saving and investing an automatic habit. And again, that's how wealth is built. It's through consistency and making educated decisions with your finances by looking at the return on investment, inflation, and what you're currently doing after all the bills are paid. Speaking of funding your auto stash with cash, okay, there's a lot of rhyming up in here. As an extra bonus, if you're new to the Cash app, they're like PayPal but owned by Square, which you can invest in them on the Stash app, ironically enough, okay? Hey now. And you use my referral code in the description area below to create an account and send your first $5 transaction to me. I'll send that $5 back to you, and you'll get $5 from the Cash app. You can send your first transaction to anyone. I'm just offering this to my viewers and subscribers because who doesn't like free money? I like free money. That's how I got started with both these apps that rhyme together, Stash and Cash. So let's recap, because you may be like, you said Stash and Cash and they rhymed and you could put cash in the stash and Alright, so you can get $5 from the Stash app by using my link in the description below and starting your first investment. So boom, you can just boom. You can get an additional $5 from the Cash app when you use my link in the description below and send your first $5 transaction within 14 days of starting your new account and linking your debit card. So if you've been keeping tally so far, that's $10 for free, and all it costs was a little bit of your time if you're new to both apps and have not, keyword, have not downloaded them yet on your phone. Well, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click the like button if you did, share this video with somebody that would benefit from it, and make sure to check out those links in the description below. They will have all the information, whether you want to get started with Stash and get your $5, whether you want to start off with Cash and get your $5, whether you want to start off with both and get $10, or you want to do none of that because you don't like receiving free money. Whatever you choose is fine with me, and I will see you in the next video.